Okay, so it's going.
All right, here is example 1. Make sure you're following along and taking notes on your worksheet. So to factor, we're going to use an area model. You can use these to multiply binomials, but in this case, we have the product, the final answer, and we're trying to come up with what two linear factors multiply to give us this. So when you're filling in an area model, right, both plain x's are here, in this case v. So I know that my v squared term is going to go in that top left box. This bottom right box is always going to be my constant because two constants multiply from here and here to make that box. Now these two boxes are going to combine to be my middle term. So I know these need to add up to 11v, but there are a lot of ways to add up to 11v. So I can use my diamond to help me decide which ones to use. So I know it adds up to 11v, but it also needs to multiply to something. So to figure out what it multiplies to, you're going to take your first term times your last term, or c times a. So 5 times 2v squared will give me 10v squared. And again, it needs to multiply to that. So go ahead and think what two terms would add to 11v and multiply to 10v squared. You can pause the video for a second. All right. So it should be 10v and 1v. 10 times 1 is 10v squared. 10v plus 1v makes 11v. So I'm going to fill in those to my other spots on my area model. And now I'm going to work to actually factor this to decide what goes on the outside of my area model. So I'm looking and I'm thinking, what do 2v squared and 10v have in common? Well, they both share a v, but in this case, they're also both divisible by 2. So I'm going to put my 2v out here. I'm factoring that out of each of them. So 2v times what gives me 2v squared? I need a v. 2v times what gives me 10v? So I need a 5. All right, I'm almost done, but now I'm thinking v times what makes 1v? Well, I just need a 1 right here. So let's check my final box. 1 times 5 should give me 5, and it does. So I've successfully factored this as 2v plus 1. I got that from the left side. Times v plus 5. I got that from the top. All right. If you're ready, go ahead and try example 2 on your own. If you need another example, you can continue and watch the second one. So again, we'll set up our area model. I put my squared term in the top left, my constant term in the bottom right. I know that these two are going to add up to my middle term, which is 3x. So I'm looking for two terms that add to 3x and multiply to c times a, or 2x squared times negative 9. In this case, that's negative 18x squared. So again, you can pause the video and think of two terms that add up to 3 and multiply to negative 18. I'm just going to list options. What multiplies to 18? Well, it could be 18 and 1, 9 and 2, 6 and 3. Because it's negative, I know one of them is going to have to be negative. I'm noticing that 6 and 3 are 3 numbers apart. So if I make the 6 positive, the 3 negative, 6x and negative 3x add up to 3x. They multiply to negative 18x squared. I'm going to put my negative 3x in a box, my 6x in a box. It doesn't matter which one. But let's look at that top row. What do those things have in common? Well, they share an x. But 2 and 3 are not divisible by anything in common. So I'm going to keep going. X times what makes 2x squared? Should be 2x. X times what makes negative 3x? I'll need a negative 3. And 2x times what makes 6x? I'll need a positive 3. One final check. Is 3 times negative 3 negative 9? It is. So we have successfully factored this. You should have gotten 2x minus 3 times x plus 3. All right, go ahead and try the rest of the worksheet on your own.